Did you know Hillbush Ford is committed to car buying done the right way with a strict off pricing and never any hidden fees or surprises, so the price you see is the price you get.
And did you know that we have an easy buying process with a massive inventory to choose from and the option to start your purchase online?
Plus, did you know we offer convenient services like pickup and deliveries or mobile services?
Did you know Hillbush Ford has been meeting the automotive needs for Kannapolis and Concord communities for over 70 years? Come see us today or shop online at hillbushford.com.
Episode 1 of the Mill People. Is that what it means?
Episode 1 of the Mill People. You know, it should be, Cousin Ryan, the whistle. We need the mill whistle.
Maybe we can work on that.
We can work on that. You know, we had great response from Bobby Eagle last week. That was incredible. I think a lot of people here in Kannapolis and the surrounding communities, people that, you know, was impacted by Cannon Mills and other mills. In fact, not just Cannon Mills. I had some individuals who commented on some of my social feeds talking about mills in other areas. And I even had a high school football coach who coached in South Carolina and up in the Burlington and Raleigh area said, guys, y'all should do a high school football version of the Mill People about different mill towns that were affected by mills. And
that's
like
a good
so
idea.
I think that would be a cool idea.
Yeah, I mean, we have obviously the biggest in the world. It was here, and so, but it would be cool to do other versions of it. That's for sure.
No kidding. Well, so this is episode number 1 of the Mill People
series.
The Mill People series, I guess we should call it that.
Bobby would be like 1A or test.
Bobby's the pilot episode.
Yeah, he's the pilot episode. There you go.
So this is going to be episode number 1 of the Mill People here. This is, I guess, a spinoff of the K-Town Connection and obviously under our Rough Talk Media, Rough Talk Holdings production. So this is pretty cool, Ron.
It is. I'm excited, and we have a special guest who's near and dear to both of us, especially me. But we have
too.
Well, yeah, we have my mom, Leslie Dayvault, is the guest today, and looks like she's going to rough talk me before we even start the episode.
Look.
And
so
we drug her in here to do this show.
We did. So Leslie, she's giving me the eye too.
She is.
When did you start working at the mill?
I started working in August 1967.
August 1967.
I went to work for packaging department. Then I worked there for about a year, and this guy came up one day, and he was a boss man. And he said that he wanted me to come up there to work for DC Supplies, because for some reason he wanted me up there to work with a girl named Judy. So I went up there, and I tried the job, and I loved it. So I stayed on that job and worked about 4 years, where the same guy that came and asked me would I come and work for his department. He wanted me to come back there, and he thought that I would be qualified to work on a bag machine. So I went to work up there, and I stayed there for maybe 15 years, and I loved it. He knew I could do it. That's the reason why. But as far as Cannon Mills people, I loved everyone that I worked with because they treated people real good, real nice. One of the main ones that I really enjoyed was Henry Godwin and Warren Griffin and Herman Stewart and Beck Boston. Beck was my main boss man in the DC Supplies. But I worked back there on the bag machine with Betty Ann, Jill, Diane, and we really had a good time. And every department I ever worked in, they were like family. We all treated each other like family, and I really enjoyed working up there.
Well, and y'all made the bags for all the sheets and towels to go in, so they didn't buy, right?
Yeah, we made sheets, It was a badge for the towel set, sheet sets, also for pillowcases. But it was one more job to learn, but I caught on.
So Cannon didn't even
And-
rely on anybody for buying bags.
Yeah.
They
Made their own. Made their own. That's
Yeah.
that's the true mill guy,
Kannapolis way.
self-reliant way. I know you grew up here in the Kannapolis, southern Rowan County area, so you knew about the mill basically your whole life. You grew up knowing about the mill. You had family that worked in the
I
mill.
did.
The first day that you started working there in August of 1967, what was it like when you went inside those gates for the first time and actually went in the buildings and just what was your first experience that first day you stepped foot inside the grounds at Plant
When
One?
I went in the mill,
Yeah, the first time.
in the first building,
The first time.
What was your thoughts?
it was huge. I was scared really, but I didn't really know what to expect. But I saw all kinds of departments, all kinds of people. But the people made me feel at ease as I walked up there. So they was all friendly people, just like family. And
So-
I really missed that. And so I loved every minute of it.
So describe your typical work day. Like when you would go in, what did you actually do on that bag machine?
I had to learn to read those numbers on the computer thing on the button. And you had to know how many bags, but they came out real fast. And you had to find the little holes and put them on the wickets. Boy, that was tough when you had to find those little holes and put them on the wicket. And it took a while to learn, but I caught on, and I loved every minute of it.
Wow.
How about
So
that?
How-
we made good money, too.
I'm sure. How many lifelong friends, not just the people you work with, but I'm sure, this town had a connection, everybody that worked in the mill to begin with, but I'm sure you developed a lot of relationships with your coworkers and
Yes, I
friendships
did.
that probably lasted many years, if not still today.
That's right. It was a good relationship wherever I went. And it was, and I really do miss it.
Yeah.
Well, and even then later you went to Plant 6 in Concord.
Okay.
And went to work there.
I went to Plant 6, and Crystal Cole hired me for that job, and I worked on a set machine. And she knew I could do it. That's the reason why she hired me. So I worked with a girl named Chris, Miguel, and Julie. We were on production work, and I had never worked production work, but I did. And that's where we really made the money. And I think a lot of people down there was jealous of us.
Yeah.
So anyway, we all worked as a team. And we, like I say, we worked together and we did real good.
I remember you saying that other production lines would produce, like assemble 2,000 sets of sheets a night. But your line, because of you and the people that made up your line, y'all were doing 7,000, 8,000 sets a night, assembling
We
sheet
did.
sets.
We did. We
Versus some other line that may have been doing 2,000. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Well, what on that job, we had a section of pillowcases, section of sheets and fitted sheets, and we had to put all that together on the conveyor belt. And then the guy on the other end, he sealed it with the plastic. And then it went to the packer. She packed all those sheets and sets in a box, and they shipped it out.
And you
So
were
that
paid.
was a tough job.
You were paid based upon how many y'all did per
We-
night. Production work.
It was production. We did between 6,000 and 7,000.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's That's where we made the money because we all worked together. We worked like a family on
Yeah.
that job.
Frances Hagler, she was a supervisor.
Yes, she
too,
was. Frances Hagler.
And they were great people. South Rowan,
Yeah.
North Kannapolis
Okay.
people. Her and her husband Don.
What was the relationships like with supervisors? You know, and I'm thinking more along the lines of back in the 1960s and the 70s. Were they tough guys, women? Were they fair? Were they kind of that boss man and told you how it was going to be, and there was no leeway? Or what was the relationship like with the workers and the boss men?
That's a hard question. You're talking about the relationship that we all had with the
like
boss
with
people.
your boss man. With your boss man, were they kind of tough?
We all got along just
Really?
fine. As long as you do your work, they're fine.
Right.
Right.
And if you didn't do it right, we had to learn to redo it. So relationship was got to be close to Frances. She was a good lady. And we still became friends from that on till she got retired or till the mill shut down. We still kept in touch with each
Really?
other. Plus, I still kept in touch with Bet Boston.
Yeah.
He was a fine fellow.
He was a nice
But
guy.
Frances Hagler was a fantastic woman. She was an older lady. And then me and her and her husband, we just got real close until
And-
they passed away.
So much so that her husband would call me and
Yeah.
my dad and her every year for my birthday, each of us, and sing happy birthday.
Wow.
Every year.
There you go.
Sing.
He
That just
sure
shows the
did.
family.
And that's another Kannapolis thing. Just
Oh,
shows
yeah.
how close people from Kannapolis were. Speaking of Kannapolis and like maybe the family vibe of Plant 1, you went down to Cabarrus County and worked at Plant 6. Was there a different kind of vibe in that plant versus Plant 1, or were they both kind of about the same?
There wasn't much difference. The same people all got along. There was 3 departments down at Plant 6, the sheet department, sets, and packaging. Up here at Plant 1, we had, it seemed like 1 million departments working at Plant 1, but that down there was smaller. So I got used to it. Let's just put it that way.
What is there a funny story about working at the mill, Plant 1 or Plant 6, that you would like to, that you remember the most? Like it's something that's funny that happened, or something crazy y'all did, or anything like that?
The only thing I could say that, well, you mean down at Plant 6?
Or Plant 1, either one or both.
Well,
She's got that look on her face.
Yeah, this ain't good.
there was one incident that happened down there that we all laughed. There was a bird came in the mill accidentally, and my boss lady was walking toward her desk, and there was a bird flew over her head and done the business on top of her hair. And she was hollering, and she ran to the bathroom to
Wow.
clean herself up. That we all laughed.
Oh, wow. That bird gave her
Oh,
the business.
Yeah, it is.
Man, that's fun.
Bird didn't want to work in the mill.
That bird rough talked you.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was the funniest thing that ever happened in that mill down at Plant 6.
Wow.
So I know what the answer to this is, but if the mill was still there today, would you still want to work there?
Yes, I would.
Wow.
Yes, I would.
I have no doubt.
I would love to still be back up there.
So you, given that you did start working at the mill in 1967, you worked through a lot of different eras and transitions. When you started there, Charlie Cannon was still alive and running the mill. So you worked there, you know, with Uncle Charlie, I guess, as you call him, Charlie Cannon running things. He ultimately, passed away. I think it was like 1972 or 73.
71.
Yeah,
71. And then You worked there through the transition when David Murdoch bought it, and then
Yeah.
again another sale with Fieldcrest became Fieldcrest Cannon, and then ultimately Pillowtex. How different were things during each of those sales, or was it pretty much just the same regardless?
It was pretty much the same. It was no changes, except we had a few rules that we had to go by. But everything was the same. They didn't change all that much when that other guy took over.
So, you know, before you worked there and during the time you worked at Plant 1, Papa Paul was there and Mama Burl.
They were still there.
What talk about the jobs they had too, because they're not here to talk about it, but talk about what they did in the mill.
Well, my mother was a typist in the packaging department. She was typing up orders, and my daddy he was a supervisor for the street force, and my brother also went to work for the street force when he got out of service, and they did a lot of outside work, looking after the Kannapolis town, really. They did a lot of work on the roads and stuff, and so that's about it for that.
So just for
and
reference,
my grandmothers worked in the mill too.
so just as a reference for this, for history's sake, my papa, or be her dad, his name was Paul Chapman, and my mama was Burl Chapman. She was a Roberts before she was a Chapman. And then her brother, my uncle, was Carlton Chapman. And then your grandparents, W.C. Daniels, Zeb Roberts, or Zula Roberts, they all worked there as well. But
Yes,
just
they
for
did.
documentation of the people who worked there,
Yeah.
Well,
I want to say those names.
all my family worked in the mill, except for my sister. She did.
She worked for the phone company.
Yeah, she worked for the phone company, and then she went to work for Rockamore.
Yeah.
And but my granddaddy, Roberts, he was a supervisor also in the weave room.
It was Zeb Roberts.
Yeah, Zeb Roberts.
And those who know part of the family, we
Yeah.
have Zeb Ritchie,
Yep.
who is named after Zeb Roberts.
Okay, man, connecting
Yeah.
the dots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So during that time, there was some pretty controversial times in the mills as well. Several different times from the 70s on into the 80s, and even when I worked there in the 90s and even in the 2000s, you had multiple attempts for the unions to come in and try to, unionize the employees, and you'd always have votes, just say no, or the union guys, the Unite, the ACLW, whatever, I can't remember the
Yeah.
textile union that came through. That was out there on West C Street. What was the vibe like when you had the unions trying to come in and trying to pit the workers against the mill and the stuff like that? Do you remember those days?
The union people tried to come in, and we voted against it. But they tried to get down at Plant 6 when I was down there. But this one guy, he talked me into signing up because he said I was going to make more money than what I was making, but that was the wrong thing to do. So,
It finally went in when you were there.
Yeah.
At Plant 6.
and so anyway, I got out of it.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
people that worked for the union were very strong people, and they wanted you to sign papers and do this, do that. But a lot of us backed off.
Yeah.
So
It was a tough time.
It was
We
a tough
did-
time,
we
and I
just-
remember, even when I was at the mill, the Unite union guys were trying to get in, and I think the union I was
That's
trying to
when it
think
went in.
of, it wasn't the ACLU, it was the
No.
ACTWU, I think Association of Clothing and Textile Workers Union, I believe is what it was called, something to that effect, and they were in that little strip mall on West C Street, right across from the YMCA and the cemetery. But that was
Yeah.
big times. Like I remember again, all my family worked in the union, and a couple of them were for the union, and a lot of them were not. And, they would have their shirts that said "just say no" or whatever. But I think that was very defining times in this meal, because it really did try to pit people against people, and even in like our case, family against family sometimes.
Right.
Well, we was all like family, and I loved every one of the people that I worked with, and it was, like I say, I would go back if I could.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So times have changed.
it sure
Well, we-
has.
So,
We're glad to do this.
Yeah,
This
it
is
is.
Yeah.
it's kind of a surprise show
It is.
for her and us, but
I don't
but it
think
worked
it's a
out good.
I don't think it's a surprise, but I definitely think it's good for us to, tell these stories, because, so many of our mill workers, unfortunately, a lot of them's passed on, and
Yeah.
I'd love to have gotten their story.
Yeah.
they have.
I'd
They've
love
been
to have gotten your dad, Greg's story,
yeah.
and my grandparents, and people in my family that work there, and people that I work with in the mill that I'd love to kind of have those conversations with,
Right.
Yeah.
because it certainly is the one centerpiece of this town that tied the bulk of everybody in this community together.
And like her dad, my papa, if he would be here to tell a story about going to Ohio or wherever it was to get the
Yeah.
crane that did all the work across the mill, across the town, the big Grove crane. I mean, he personally picked it out, got it,
That's
had
right.
it delivered. Her uncle, or her brother, my uncle, drove that crane,
Mm-hmm.
used it, and a lot of other people did too. And I mean and that's not like textile per se, weave room type stories. That's a whole different dimension of
Yeah.
operations, of what
Yeah.
it took to operate this company town.
Yep.
And those are cool stories to be
Yeah.
able to hear that.
And
Yeah.
And I hope that we can get even more people, whether you had a small, somewhat insignificant job, or whether you was a supervisor or worked a machine or whatever, because, you're talking about making the bags for the sheets or the towels. I remember even when I worked there in the late 90s, they had a department for everything. There was a supply room. Like if you needed to get safety glasses or work gloves, they had a department where you went up there and your supervisor gave you a slip and you took it there and they'd give you what you need.
Didn't
Like
need no
they had,
store?
They had
That's
everything.
right.
Didn't
That's
need to go
right.
to
I mean,
Charlotte.
they
either.
had carpenters, maintenance men. I mean, they
Had a
had
garage.
they had a department for everything.
Yep. Garage.
And
Fire department.
Someone like myself that has a degree in project management and, business organization, it's crazy that it all started with even James Cannon before Charlie Cannon, how the mastermind in planning the mill and all the intricate little pieces, like on a gear, just kind of went together to create this massive business. And I think that, the mills here and a lot of the other mills in industrial cities and, steel mills and things like that, I think they were ahead of their time in what they were able to do in that, given that time and that era they were
Absolutely.
created.
Absolutely. And, this was the mission was to create the most perfect company town anywhere.
Yes.
And that's what he did.
Absolutely.
So, well, thank you for
Yeah.
doing this. And
Thank you.
Glad
Yes,
glad
thank
you
you.
were able to. Glad you were willing to sit down on the bench.
Wasn't that bad, was it?
And I hope this inspires other people to come forward. Send us your name, people you may know. I mean, Bill Cannon gave me a name the other night of somebody that we need to get in here.
One of these days I'll tell my story.
And one of these days we'll tell you. I'll
Oh,
sit
yeah.
here and interview you.
All right.
So, all right. Well, that's the end of episode 1 of
I think
Mill
whi-
People.
I think the flashing light's going off and the whistle's about to blow, so let's go ahead
And-
and call it an episode.
And while you're at it, take a look at our episode, our commercial from Hughes
Gilbert
Ford.
Ford,
here at the
appreciate
end.
them. Susan Bear,
Yep.
she's been a great ambassador and supporter of ours in this town as well. So a lot of people that help make the Rough Talk Holdings and K-Town Connection and everything that Ryan and I are trying to do, and that we got plans that we want to do to even do more cool things for this town. So go support those people that support us.
And thanks to Aaron Beaver,
Yeah, absolutely.
Eric Dearman for inspiring this
Yes.
series. We've got so many people we can thank. It's crazy.
All
and
right.
we're blessed.
Yeah.
So
Well,
there we
what
go.
is- There we go. What does most mill people do when mill gets?
Go to the Whataburger.
Let's go to Whataburger.